Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Appreciate the support whenever you're watching this video. My name is Joe Josh. I go by iChart Daily. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. In today's video, I want to give you a window to my thought process on a couple things I think could play out over the next couple weeks to months on the DXY, Bitcoin, Chainlink, Cake, and XRP. Before I start, this is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. This is a window to my thought process and a bunch of hypotheticals that I potentially might be doing. So on this channel, I'm trying to teach you to look at the chart and trust indicators more than people and the news. And I look at a MACD, an RSI, market bottom indicator, sometimes moving averages to figure out the market structure, right? And I always tell you to look at the long-term trend first, then zoom in, right? Because the long-term trend is going to predict what the short-term outcomes do. So I'm looking at the monthly chart, and I'm looking at the 2-month, and I'm looking at the 3-week for the DXY. The reason why is I'm trying to see, or I'm trying to give myself an edge on what's going to happen with the market. The market has been potentially pumping for the last year or so, and the DXY has been slowly bleeding. The first thing I look at is I want to see the chart that's going to have the next golden cross and what stands out like a sore thumb, whether it's being mega bullish or very bearish. When your long-term trends, meaning weekly, 2-week, 3-week, monthly, and longer, are showing you that there's going to be a golden cross above the zero line. Your RSI went from overbought to oversold, and now it's forming a bottom and it's coming back above the moving average. These two things, in my eyes, especially with the market bottom indicator going off on a longer time frame. I don't use it on the 1 minute, the 5 minute, the hourly, and the daily because there's fake outs. On longer time frames, I like to zoom out and see if it's ever lied to me in the past. Meaning, like, if it went off here, we went up. If it went off here, we went up. If it went off here, we went up. On the shorter time frames, it could go off, we could go up, but we can make lower highs and lower lows. That's what I mean by a fake out indicator. And you have to back test any indicator you're using to see if it went off or if there was a death cross or a golden cross, what happened with the market thereafter. And on longer time frames, you could see on a 3-week, a monthly, and longer, when there was golden crosses and death crosses, or when the asset was extremely oversold or overbought, it predicted the market tops and bottoms. Tops and bottoms. So what I do is I look for the longer term trend first, so the DXY and the long term trend, meaning each bar on this screen is 3 weeks. This entire play here was 685 days. So I'm planning for the next 200-300 days, right? Because if you could bet your short-term plays, meaning if the long-term trend on any asset is bullish, I'm looking to have retest back to support and I'm opening up longs. I'm betting my short-term trades depending on what the long-term trend's doing. If the long-term trend is bearish, you should automatically be thinking, when we come back to resistance, I'm opening up shorts. When we come back to resistance, I'm opening up shorts. I'll explain that in another video in way more detail. But since it looks like the market is consolidating, it looks like the longer term trends are somewhat changing on crypto and some of the stocks. That means profit should be coming back to the dollar. It's just common sense, right? So if we're looking for a couple of weeks to a couple of months for the dollar to go back to the 105.62 to potentially the 106.84, that means we would be breaking out of this potential bull flag. The bull flag potentially could take us back to, let's just say, these levels here of the 109 to potentially the 112. I don't know if we do a double top. I don't know if we do a lower high. I don't know if we do a higher high. I do know, though, for the next couple of weeks, 3, 6, 9 weeks, couple of candles, we should be able to hit these levels here again because this is very bullish. We're in section A, and because we are forming this golden cross above the zero line, that shows me that these next highs are going to be retested. So this one was already broken here, the 105.04. The next level is going to be here, 105.80. So because we're looking somewhat bullish on the DXY and the trend is changing for the better on the DXY, that gives me insight of what potentially could happen with Bitcoin. Yesterday I posted a video, food for thought. Join the Discord. Link is in the description. It is free. I do not charge for it yet. But I was saying that I don't like that the long-term trend on Bitcoin started pointing down. I saw this RSI, right? The RSI is now coming down. Now there are 4 sections on an RSI. I want to see, is the asset here in section A plus? Is the asset here in section A? Is the asset here in section B? Or is the asset here below the 30 line in B minus, right? They all tell you a different story and what's going to happen. I'll explain that more at Chainlink, Cake, and XRP because it shows a clearer picture. So the first line in the sand is the 70. If you can see here, we came down to the 70 and used it as support. We came down here. We did not have a huge consolidation. We came down to the moving average and we created a higher high, right? We went back into section A. Well, right now, if we were to break this, we're coming back down to the yellow. The yellow shows me at like 47 to potentially 51,000. The most important thing is, are we making a higher low thereafter, right? Here's your current support, right? We went from 15,000. If you remember, 17.5, 15.5, 13.5. I always have to just throw that out there that, you know, the chart did call the last recent bottom, and I had the video to prove it. Right, so oversold, we went 15,000 up to 31, came down. This one was a beautiful pump from 24,000 to 70,000, but in my eyes, all I see is this: 1, 2, 3. So we're trying to figure out where the next one comes down here. Another thing is, this reminds me of a cup and handle. The halvening happens in 30 days, but the halvening's effects don't really impact Bitcoin until the price of Bitcoin comes down, right? Just a little sidetrack. When the halvening had an impact on Bitcoin in the past, because the halvening happened, the miners got half the rewards, but the price was poop compared to where it was comparable to now, right? Once again, halvening was here and the all-time high was here. So they were losing money by having their rewards cut in half here, cut in half here, right? Here, we're at almost all-time high levels, so the people who have their rewards cut in half, they're still profitable. Bitcoin's price needs to come down and their rewards need to be cut in half in order for some of those miners to shut their operations. That then stops the inflation, right? Less Bitcoin being printed and less selling pressure. The majority of selling pressure in history has been the miners, right? The majority of people watching this video usually buy and hold. No one wants to be the pizza people, right? So you buy, hold, buy, hold, buy, hold, buy, hold. It's an anti-inflationary vehicle. Our governments keep printing more money, et cetera, et cetera. So this does remind me of a cup or a rounding bottom, right? I said this looks like a rounding bottom. When you have a break in the rounding bottom, you then have the handle, right? So I think we're in the cusp of a potential cup, handle, break to the upside closer towards the end of the year, like September, October, November. I do think if the Feds, this is chess, right? Speculations. If the Feds do come out with their first rate cut, that might give hope that we're going back to the 100,000, 200,000, those astronomical numbers. Once again, I am trusting the RSI on the way up, right? What I mean by that is I think this is going to be the spot where the RSI could potentially stop in the next market top, like something like this, anywhere from the 84 to the 89. Now you could see here this moving average, right? So the moving average, as long as we stay above the moving average, example A, we are still remaining in a bull market. And because we still have some room to grow, I do think we could have a healthy consolidation. The last low is 61.89. Previous to that was 49.98. Previous to that was 40.55. So if we do come down, form a higher low, and stay above the moving average, then this is another healthy consolidation, another higher low on the macro, and another reset for all of these coins to then go back up and do another couple 100%, or in XRP's case, like 80%. So that's just an inside joke, bro, because when little sidetrack, hypothetically, when you've been investing in a coin since it's like here, right, and you know all of the news about the coin, and everyone thinks it's going to astronomical numbers. Meanwhile, coins that have less fundamentals, less news, did more pumpage than at this little bull market run, right? So Bitcoin, because we still have room until we hit market structure top, I do think this is a consolidation and another push to the upside closer to the mid to end of 2024. Now, we start looking at Confluence, right? I posted in the Discord once again, right? We start doing as many things possible to help you understand support resistance. So we look at the VPVR, just to help you. You could right click on your Bitcoin, excuse me, and you could hide, and then you could see here that around 57 is your major support, then 51.4, then 47.9, excuse me. Okay, turn it back on, turn this off. Now, with my experience, I could have told you that just based off of the candle structure, right? You could see here what was previous resistance will be support as it was here around the 60,000. After that, I do see potentially 52,000 to 53,000 being your next level, and then major support being down here at the 47,000. I've always said on the weekly chart, another thing that helps you understand what's going on are the 11 and 21 day moving average during the bull market, which is when the MACD and RSI are bullish, meaning in section A and above the 50. The weekly time frame uses the 11 and 21 day as support. Example A, example B, example C, example D, right? During the bear market, when the MACD has death cross and is coming down, the RSI has broken the 70 and has broken the moving average, it uses it as resistance. Example A, example B, example C, example D, example E, right? So we're here, we're in bull market, we haven't reached the monthly RSI top, we're in for just a consolidation, right? Now, people say in the past that's not possible. Well, this was a 21% correction, right? This one was a 22% correction. So if we were to go back to these levels here, look how they line up with the moving averages. It's pretty funny, right? So you're looking at from the top, this is an 18 to 25% with possibly a wick to maybe 31 to 35%. In the past, that has been totally healthy, right? This here was a 31.75% correction, and we're looking at a very simple 31.32% correction back to the 11, 21 day or potentially 50 day moving average. The most important thing, cuzzy, is do we make another higher low? And the higher low potentially could do something like this, right? Everything happens in waves. So we come here, we form a lower high, you break here, you do this, and then you have a little wick down to here potentially, right? If I could catch the bottom, then I look like a genius, right? The same way you want to just catch the bottom, you just want to catch the range of the bottom. And then what do? We buy at support to take profit at resistance. We buy at support to take profit at resistance, right? 71% to 192%. So we're going to buy at support so we could take profit at resistance. Another thing that I would like to line up is this resistance right here, right? So now this is another confluence idea that you need to understand. What was resistance, right? Resistance was turned back into support. So if poo-poo hits the fan, I'm going to line up my VPVR with my green lines that line up with the candles and support and resistance zones and liquidation zones. I'm going to line up this level right about here, lining up with 47 to potentially 53,000, and we would come back down to retest what was resistance, which could be potential support again. That is Bitcoin to leave you with. So once again, if the weekly, I wanted to show you how you plan this now, right? Get rid of all this. Hold on one second. 1, 2, 3. Now you could start setting alerts, right? I'd probably set an alert on the weekly, 69. I want to see if we dip below. And I'm planning this with golden crosses and death crosses on time frames that show me the next move, right? So you could see here the 4-day, the 3-day just death crossed, okay? Most important thing, look at the RSI. RSI is the first mover. You had one high, another high, lower high, head and shoulders pattern. RSI was making higher highs, higher lows. We did what? Broke moving average. That's bearish strike number 1. We then used it as resistance. Strike number 2 on the bearish. We broke the 70. We're now in section A with room to bleed back to the 50. This death cross, your first red candle just came in. I'm going to go to the 4-day. Why? Because this is the next one that death crosses. I'm going to then take my mouse, put it here, and see that on Saturday the 6th, if momentum continuously comes down, meaning this, as long as we don't make higher highs to the 74.6 or the 72.3 and we continue doing stuff like this, then that leads into the bearish divergence, and that leads into the death cross. That means this week leading up into Saturday, this candle could come all the way back down to 63.2, 61.2, 65.9. Then I'm going to look at the 5-day, right? That what this means is this, if this continuously comes down, and you could have little dead cat bounces, but as long as you continuously come down, that means the 5-day is going to break the 70. We have room to bleed. The 5-day looks like it's going to death cross potentially on the 31st to, sorry, what the hell is this? The 5th, right? So you have 3 days for this next candle to come in. And that's how I plan when I think the blood is going to happen. Yeah. Breaking into section B. Nothing positive comes from section B. That's when you break support and you're heading back down to 62,000 to 59.9. Next, Chainlink. Most important thing, what do we start with? Long-term trends predict short-term outcomes. If you're looking at just a 1-minute, a 5-minute, or hourly chart and you have not evaluated the long-term trend first, you're going to be crushed, cuzzy. Long-term trend, this is what I'm seeing, right? We went up from the $5.70. Shout out to everyone who listened when we said this was another consolidation, like this consolidation, like this consolidation, like this consolidation, and we went up 250 to 300%. Most important thing, I'll show you it live, is are we doing something like this, where we could have this high here, we went up, we came down, found support, go up, do we come back down and find support at the $9.66 level a couple weeks to months from now? It's funny how I could call something like that. It's just because I've done this so many times. When I start seeing we went from the 41 to the 70, we're seeing this downtrend now. You're seeing the baby blue on the MACD. Now we zoom in, 3-week, right? Is things looking bullish? Meaning, does it look like it's forming a bottom and we're having a golden cross? Does it look like the RSI was bearish and it's about to go bullish? No. Everything looks the opposite. Everything looks like we went from oversold to overbought and we're about to break the moving average and head down to the 50. It looks like the MACD volume is coming down, and over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 weeks, it looks like if volume keeps coming down, and I'll show you how it looks like it does on the weekly and the 5 and the 4 day, that we could come back down and form another higher low around this $11.75 to $9.29 area, which still remains somewhat bullish because the last low was here, $1. Came up, came down here, $5.50, go up, come down here, $8. And let me explain, right? So here's the 3-week. Let's go into the daily. This is, let's go into the weekly, excuse me. So here's the current trend, right? Current trend is this, right? So the first thing I see was support. We did this, we came up. We did this, we come up, right? So now you look for resistance. Okay, now the next thing I want to show you is on the 4-day. On the 4-day, what I was noticing is this rising channel is making higher highs, right? You can see we consolidated, boom, consolidated, boom. Most important thing is this high made a higher high here. On this one, this high made a lower high. This high made a lower high. That is called hidden bearish. That tells me that this pattern could be short-lived. We potentially could break down from here and come down to here, $13. And what would happen is trend lines go with trend indicator. I want to show you something. On the 10-day, you can see here, the MACD has been going up. It was sideways because it was going up, but below the 0 line, and sideways and flat because the RSI was in section B. So once again, section B on a longer time frame, this asset did nothing. The most important thing was when it broke the 0 line and broke the 50 line, we broke resistance of the let's just say 750 to 850 level, and we went from 730 to $22. Now, long-term trends predict short-term outcomes. The RSI already showed you the Batman ears here. We went from bullish to bearish. You had your retest, and we have room to bleed. That shows me that the MACD, that looks like it's about to death cross. I always go to the time frame with the next death cross because this tells me that on Wednesday, April 10th, poo-poo can hit the fan because trend lines go with trend indicator. If the trend lines are going up, but the trend indicator is now coming down, then these trend lines don't mean nothing anymore. And that means we're coming back down to there first, 1575, right back down to what was resistance, then will turn into support, right? That's what I see, right? But this trend right here could be short-lived. We can make a lower high, and this looks like a head and shoulders, which eventually does break down to these levels here of the 11 to potentially $12 level. When I zoom in to the daily, you can see here section B, nothing positive comes from that. Once again, you got to be watching the 10-day. That's the most important thing. What you could do is set an alert, MACD. You want to see when the MACD crosses the MACD signal. Create what you just did. An alert will come up on your email, on your computer screen, and on your phone if you have the app that the MACD, the shorter time moving average, the yellow one on my screen, just death crossed below the green moving average, which is the longer time moving average, is showing me that the trend is changing, showing me that the trend line's not going up anymore, showing me that I will be opening up more shorts instead of longs, and showing me that we could potentially go flat for a little bit. Next, cake. Same thing, right? Oversold at $1, overbought at 4, came down, used the 50 as support, showing me that this is a continuation to the upside, right? A continuation meaning this. The bars went from here to here. We did this, stopped at the 50, went back up to the 70, came down to the 50, came down to the 50, higher low, higher low, higher low, continuation to the upside. 1, 2, came down to the 50, went back to the 70, made a higher high. Now, most important thing, during this time frame, your MACD did not death cross. It looks like we're having another consolidation, as you can see here. What happened during that consolidation? We went from $4 down to $2.30 something cents and had a healthy 40% correction. So what I do is I go in a longer time frame and I look left to see where previous support and resistance levels are, where liquidation is. And you can see here $3.13, and you can see here roughly $2.90 something cents. I'm going to then line up this market top with a 37 to 40% correction, and I'm going to line up the RSI. Now this is the weekly, and I can pretty much bet that you're going to start seeing more bearish patterns playing out on the shorter time frames. I'm looking for the next time frame that's about to have a death cross. 2-day already went, looking for the 3-day right here. 3-day. The death cross probably will happen in the next candle, leaning up with the Wednesday this week. Let's just say Wednesday, Thursday. Once again, if you're having long-term trends bearish, you're looking for long-term, short-term trends to be bearish as well. You're looking at something like this, right? Lower highs, lower lows, doing something like this, back down to these levels here. How's that possible? Well, look at this channel, back down to support, back down to support, back down to support, right? We buy at support in order to take profit at resistance. It's a simple process, but unfortunately, not many people follow it. So that's that. First line in the sand is going to be $3.53. The reason why I say that was previous resistance turned into support. So I could see this doing like a descending triangle type of thing. And then you would take the body of the flag, the breakdown. So I would see this, right? We do this, 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 we do this. That's cake. XRP, lovely XRP, cuzzy. All the news, Swift, CBDCs, THCCs. Here we are. Right, I posted the picture. If and when this bull flag symmetrical triangle breaks out, it will take us to around $5.89. But when does that happen, cuzzy? Well, not anytime soon. What I'm seeing, long-term trends predict short-term outcomes as long as the monthly remains bullish and the shorter time moving average stays above the longer time moving average. As long as the RSI does not break the 50 line and does not break the moving average, we stay above this beautiful white support line. It's that simple. So we zoom in. First line in the sand. It was previously resistance. It will turn into present support. That would be 54 cents. That's the technical analysis. Do I recommend buying there? That's a great question. Not financial advice. It depends on how long you're looking to hold it. If poo-poo was to hit the fan, and this was to break down on the MACD, and this was to break down on the RSI, well, trend lines go with trend indicator. Trend lines will not be going up anymore. We would then break down and fall to 49 cents and potentially 43 cents to potentially 40 cents. But as of right now, we still remain somewhat bullish. The most important thing is Bitcoin, XRP versus Bitcoin looks like it's somewhat forming a bottom, like I said many weeks ago. What you want to see is your coin versus Bitcoin gain momentum, while your coin versus the dollar is gaining momentum. That means your coin versus Bitcoin and the coin versus the dollar is both bullish. As long as Bitcoin's going up, you're going to have pumpage. Unfortunately, Bitcoin looks like it's coming down, so that means XRP could potentially stay flat. You could see here the weekly MACD looks like it's about to golden cross, but unfortunately in section B, meaning the poo-poo section, meaning this stays flat. Your RSI looks like it's extremely oversold like it was in the past year. We're looking for this break in market structure of the 30 and then potentially making higher highs and higher lows. But because it's in section B, that proves that yes, we are oversold. Yes, we could have a dead cat bounce. But yes, we could potentially go sideways. That's just the unfortunate truth. XRP versus the dollar, once again, I like it back to these levels here of 55 cents to potentially 52 cents. At that point, I need to reevaluate the chart and see if we're seeing major buying pressure here at this level again. That's it, folks. I love you. I appreciate the support. If anyone has any comments, questions, concerns, leave it in the comment section. If you have any requests, leave it in the comment section. I am choosing 1 or 2 lucky comments for my next video that will be coming tomorrow. Besides that, I appreciate the support. The only thing I could ask is at this point of the video, if you appreciate me and my efforts to teach you, like, comment, subscribe. Enjoy the day.